Have you ever dreamed about running the perfect D&D campaign? Your friends at the table cracking jokes,
We're playing Dungeons and Dragons.
fighting monsters, crafting together an epic tale. That, indeed, was what I also dreamed. Until the dream turned into a nightmare. Buckle up, because this is the tale on how my 4th year campaign failed miserably. Mistake number 1, the concept. A little bit of backstory, I started DMing 2 years prior to the campaign. Sadly, it was always one-shots for friends and newbies that weren't able to compromise for a lot more. But then, due to the events of 2020, sadly everyone had a lot more free time. So me and a group of 3 friends decided to start a D&D campaign, now that everyone was pretty much free. And that's how I started planning. A police campaign? Pfft, nah, I'm very creative. I'm sure I can do something better.
That is one big pile of shit.
My homebrew world was Nordic inspired. Everyone was devotee of gods like Odin or Thor. And the world was full of small city-states, always at war with each other. My players were going to be members of Nox, a devious organization that wanted to free Loki from his prison and start Ragnarok. The leader of Nox was Solomon, an old Death Knight that was the former emperor of a forgotten empire. He was cursed and turned undead by the gods. That's why he wanted to free Loki in some sort of revenge. Okay, see the problem? He was the protagonist! If this was a book, the book was not about the characters. It was about freaking Solomon! A CR-17 Death Knight bossing my characters all over the homebrew world that I created. It was horrible! This Death Knight with this brooding and edgy backstory bossed them around, and it's true that he was not always there, but he was still an important ally NPC and the leader of their faction. Every important NPC of the campaign was connected to him, and he was the one with the more personal stakes. He was the protagonist.
I'm the protagonist.
Mistake number 1. The moving force of a campaign cannot be an NPC controlled by the DM. Solution. Easy! Just maybe I should have done the organization smaller and put them as the leaders of this place, giving them the choice and freedom to pursue the next goal that they want, without a garbage 2 NPC that it's always breathing on their necks and bossing them around. The player characters must be the protagonist of the campaign, and the story needs to revolve around their hopes and dreams. Mistake number 2, the alignment. The second big mistake I made was related to the alignment of the campaign. I was trying to do something different with this campaign. Bad idea because it was my first one. But my players also told me that they wanted to play more morally grey characters. So the idea was perfect. An evil campaign. But no, it was horrible. Campaign with good aligned parties are great, because you don't really need to reward them too much to do the right thing or to pull them close with your hooks. Of course, the cleric of Lathander or the paladin will want to save the children from the hacks. But with evil characters, everything becomes more difficult. Don't get me wrong, I'll stand in the hill that good evil characters can be very fun in a campaign, but the characters that my party decided were murder hobos and mustache-twirling villains. Cold and headless cultists of Loki. Mercenaries all in here for the gold. It was difficult to give them hooks that they were interested by, because they were all interested in money and power. So, without close relationships, morals or codes of conduct, they were very empty characters. Mistake. The evil player characters were not connected to the world at all, and were all interested in material gains. Solution. As a DM, I should have helped a lot more my party of very new players, helping them get family, friends, codes of conduct, maybe principles or ideals. Things to really be able to make their characters a lot more complete and make sure that they don't feel empty, and give me a lot more room to plan how to continue the campaign. Another option is steering away from dark plots or evil campaigns if you feel that you and your group cannot pull it off, without turning this into Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Mistake number 3, Don't save things for later. Man, I had so many cool ideas. One of them was a draw, so I was going to direct them to underdark communities of people to find his lost family. There was an enemy of a council of dragons. We were going to travel to the four elemental planes. And nothing of that happened. Mistake. Playing too far ahead, without introducing any of the plot points or elements that would have been the most fun that everyone would have enjoyed together. Solution. The only session that counts is the next one. So start to introduce those plot points little by little, easing them into your next session. Well, if the idea is combat related, be mindful. You're not going to put your level 3 player characters against dragons, but maybe against Drake. No, not that Drake, these Drakes! Before we go to mistake number 4, I need to say that if we reach 100 subscribers, I will talk about another campaign. This time one that went great. And more tips to run a Curse of Strahd game, my favorite campaign, as it is clearly known. Oh, Strahd, what do you say? That the Barovian relics are hidden behind the like, subscribe and bell buttons? Guys, quick! For Strahd wins! Mistake number 4, the railroad. My last nail in the coffin as a DM is that I didn't give any sort of freedom to my players. They were full on rails, a railroad. They needed to go to a location to get a MacGuffin. They explored the land, they fought some monsters, got the MacGuffin and went to the next location. Hell, they didn't even went there with actual travel rules or decisions or fights from one place to another. Instead of every session, I just teleported them to the next destination. Teleportation portal! Yeah, I was literally doing one-shots in a campaign with an established party. Don't get me wrong, inside the small areas of the ring that they had total freedom. But nothing. They couldn't back away from that place or decide what to do next. It was always one path and one path only. And not by design either. It was because my damn one-shot ass didn't know any better.
It's my first day!
Now, I know that there are DMs and players that prefer more of a railroad experience, but it was too much. Mistake. Take away player agency and teleport them to the next location, always to find the next MacGuffin. Solution. Make the campaign a little bit more open. Give them different objects that they need to do, and they can tackle them in any order they want, with consequences that could be good or bad. Give a meaning to their choices with the next destination that they choose to go, or at least give them more options than only one. In general, the final boss. After all these mistakes, we came into Oblivion, Entropy, the doom and end of every campaign, dream and hope that any human has ever had. Scheduling. 5 months into starting the campaign, we started to have final exams, internships, summer vacations. We were a close group of friends, and there were only 3 players, so if any of them or myself cancelled, well, we rescheduled to the next week, and to the next week, and to the next week. We didn't play for 5 months. After 1st month, they were level 5, and they were ready to take the Underdark and the relic, the MacGuffin, that was down below. An Etheris orb, similar to ones from Casus. At that point, everyone was working or had more responsibilities. My great plans for the campaign were ruined, and we embraced it. We stopped playing every week, and we had one long session per month. 5 or 6 hours of play.
Embrace it!
It was almost like one-shots. I knew that I couldn't add so much story and plot hooks, but it was still fun with friends. A story of tiny adventures that had a linear thread that joins them all together in an epic finale. To be fair, they didn't remember much of the plot or the NPCs, but they were excited to free Loki and start Ragnarok. This last year was the final arc of the campaign. 10 or so sessions. They did all sorts of things. They summoned a Tarask, drained the vitality of the creature with all of the magic objects that they gained in their adventures, fought an order of Berserker Paladins of the Oath of Glory, devoted to Odin, that tried to stop them from accomplishing their goals and freeing Loki. And the ritual succeeded. With Loki freed, they're going to join him to destroy Valhalla and start the Ragnarok. But we decided that it was a good moment to put it as a cliffhanger and end the campaign at that moment, with their characters having everything they wanted already, being strong, powerful, and having all the riches and gold that they could want. The mistake here was never trying to put a common time between everyone to play the game. It's easy and simple. You find a common time between all of you and you put the game during that time. And if someone isn't able to make it, you still play with 2 players, in my case for example. That would have been so much easier. I could have streamlined all of the different problems. Because it was always one player that was rotating that couldn't make it.
I needed to get rid of the human garbage, otherwise known as my best friends. Come on! Bonnie, how do you keep getting back in?
I'm a drunk. I don't know nothing about how I do anything. Whoa!
So you and your group live and die for that day. It can be Thursday night. It can be Wednesday morning if you're a psycho. It can be any day. That's D&D day. If not, just try to make a shorter campaign, more condensed, that won't be needed to reschedule so many times. My final advice is to always try to improve your sessions, 1%, but you never obsess over it. Reflect everything that you've doing as Dungeon Master and see how you can improve it little by little. Maybe it's the music, maybe it's your audio, maybe it's the acting, maybe it's the voices, maybe it's the mechanics. There's always a way to improve, and if session after session you continue to improve, you'll be a great DM. And hopefully you don't make the same mistakes I did. Because yeah, I suck.
That is one big pile of shit.